Hi, I'm Judy Gaman, the CEO at Executive Medicine of Texas. I'm so excited to bring Dr. Naidoo. Santha Naidoo came to us all the way from Massachusetts. And as you know, coming on board at Executive Medicine of Texas is quite an undertaking because we scour the states to find just the right physician. And I'd like to welcome you, Dr. Naidoo, into Executive Medicine of Texas practice.
Thank you, Judy. It's my pleasure.
Well, one of the things that really impressed me about you is all the board certifications. So kind of take us on that journey that you had as a girl who decides to go into medicine and kind of what that looked like and a little bit about your educational background as well.
Sure, yes. So I grew up in South Africa, in a coastal city in South Africa, in a family where education and healthcare was very important. So I knew from a young age this is what I wanted to do. Overall, general health and wellness was very important. So my mom, who's not a physician, is very focused on lifestyle medicine and using nutrition to treat ourselves. And so that took me along the path of not just medicine, but also pursuing integrative medicine. My passion for treating the whole family, for creating wellness in a community led me to family medicine. So I have a board certification in family medicine, and then in integrative and holistic medicine. And then ultimately seeing the struggles that a lot of my patients have with obesity, I've decided to do a board certification in obesity medicine as well.
So you're basically what we call a triple threat. Well, quite impressive. And then also your educational journey. It's always interesting to find out why people went to particular universities, but why did you choose your educational path?
Sure. Yeah, I went to the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. At the time, there was really no particular reason. It was in-state to where I was living. I decided to study mathematics in undergraduate, as an undergraduate, just because it was different. I knew I was going into medicine, but I knew I wanted to study something different.
It's always exciting to hear a girl say, I went into mathematics.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times they're not encouraged to.
Absolutely.
But when you see someone who goes in and they're successful and they're good at it like you are, it's such an inspiration to all those girls out there.
And it was really just a passion. So I followed my passion. And again, knew that I was going into medicine. So following that, I did take some time off. I traveled a little bit. I love to explore different cultures, different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and then went to medical school. And I chose osteopathic medicine again because of it's a little bit more of a holistic philosophy as well.
Right. So DO.
Yes.
So it's Santha Naidoo, DO.
That's correct.
Comma, a bunch of initials, like you name it, it's after it. But why do you think, out of all the places you could be practicing, that you chose executive medicine?
I think this affords me a unique opportunity to really spend time with my patients, really dig deep into all the different factors that affect somebody's healthcare. The challenge I see in other types of practices is we just don't have enough time. I have a lot of knowledge. I have a passion to share this knowledge. My goal is for my patients to be empowered to be able to take care of themselves so that they don't need me, ultimately. And I think executive medicine provides a unique space for people to come and really get to know about what is going on very comprehensively in their health and pursue a path of true wellness.
I think you're spot on, and I think that's why we've had the pleasure to grow so much over the years. I remember when we first went on this journey at Executive Medicine. This was back in 2005. And well, actually in 2004, we were starting the legal process to do this. And it really was a napkin idea between the two managing partners, Dr. Walter Gaman and Dr. Mark Anderson. And they said, you know, I just don't like where medicine's going. I don't get to spend any time with my patients. They had all these complaints as a physician and really thought, you know, if I'm feeling this, the patients must be feeling this.
Absolutely.
And really, it was a napkin idea. Like I said, it was sitting down, okay, if you could do anything, what would it look like? And they're like, okay, we'd open a practice, we'd kick insurance out because we don't want to answer to the insurance company. And we'd, you know, block enough time with the patient so we didn't feel like we had one hand on the door and, you know, just waiting to leave. More, you know, let the patient talk till they're talked out and really go through those things. And I'll never forget, like 1 year in, they're like, this is why I went to medicine.
And that's exactly right. You know, it's an opportunity for, in my opinion, in traditional medicine, we're very good at treating illnesses. This is an opportunity not only to treat what's going on, but also to prevent what could happen, to set people up so that they know where they need to focus in their healthcare. You know, it's not necessarily just a one-path journey. We all have our own healthcare journeys. And the only way we get to really explore that is by getting to know our patients, getting to spend that time with our patients, and working together in a collaborative relationship.
Yeah, I love how you say we have to get to know our patients. And when our patients first get their packet, you know, they're kind of welcome to executive medicine packet, and they realize this questionnaire is like 30 pages, and it's not just, you know, what are your demographics. It's, you know, very involved in somebody's life, their lifestyle, their habits, and those things are reviewed by the physician before the patient ever shows up. So the patient gets the opportunity to walk into a room and somebody already knows something about them. They've already kind of formulated some questions, and then they get to say the things, their own goals. You know, what are the things I need to do for my health, to better it, to live longer, to live healthier. Maybe they have concerns that they maybe didn't want to write down, so they get to talk about them in a very closed environment. And I say closed environment because I think this is really important. A lot of times when people go to the doctor's office, you can hear what's going on in the next room. You can hear the whole thing.
True.
Because, you know, they have those drop-in ceilings, and you're just kind of like, wow, okay, I guess my life's not that bad because whatever's going on over there, I don't want that. But at executive medicine, we have these hard ceilings, we have quiet rock. So you're really in a private environment. And I think the patients really enjoy that. And especially since we see people from all over the globe. They fly in for this kind of service. And I think it's good to be in an environment where you know that you're being protected in a lot of ways.
And not only that, it's a very calming space. It's a beautiful place to be and a very comfortable space to be. So I think anybody can feel comfortable being there for as long as they need to.
Yeah. That's funny you say as long as they need to, because we do have the lounge where they eat afterwards, and we call it the Sky Lounge because it's third floor and it has a nice view of South Lake. And sometimes they get really comfortable and it's like 2 o'clock and we're like, they're still eating? but it's okay. So, you know, we've been known to go in and hang out with them, and they can get on the Wi-Fi. Or we wanted that. We wanted patients to feel like, you know, our home is their home. And I think we've really done it. One patient, I thought this was kind of fun. They said we're like the Cheers bar. The Cheers bar, everybody knows your name. And we do. And we try to get to know the families and just a little bit something about each patient. So when we're having conversations, they're real. You know, they're about, you know, how's your daughter doing at A&M, or, you know, what's going on with your son at Harvard, or wherever and whatever's going on. We like to be involved and really get to know them. And I think that's one of the reasons that we really liked you when we had met you. And the interview process is much more than just one short meeting. I mean, it's lots of conversation. But you could carry on a conversation, but you were also very interested in us. And why that's so important to us is I know you're going to be interested in the patient. You're going to ask those questions. You're going to really get to know that patient and build that bond. And I think that's why we're so excited.
And that's, to me, that's a special part of, especially in primary care, right, of the physician-patient relationship, is at the end of the day, unless I get to know you and I get to know all those small details of your life, I really can't tailor a plan to you. Yes, I can tell you, go home and exercise for 3 hours, but if that doesn't fit into your lifestyle, it's useless information, it's useless advice. So
yeah, and I don't think go home and exercise for 3 hours fits into many people's, just saying, I know it was an example, but you know, that's so true. I mean, people work different shifts. Some people are retired, some people, you know, they are entrepreneurs and they kind of have a crazy life running their own business. You know, we see celebrities, we see people from all different areas of life with very different schedules.
Yeah.
And you make a very good point that you have to take into account their schedule. You know,
And their values, different values as well, right?
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Sure.
So let's talk about some examples of patients with different values and how that kind of changes the way you give them a prescription for life or for a better life.
So usually whenever I'm discussing with a patient what a treatment plan is, as you had pointed out, I always ask them what's their goals. And I also share what my goals are for them. And so we come to a collaborative goal ultimately. And then our plan is usually, you know, I might throw out some ideas and I will ask a patient, you know, how does that fit into your schedule? Do you think that's something that's doable? Does it fit into what you want to do? And they may come back saying, you know, I don't eat that way. That's not the type of foods we eat. So then I will ask them, okay, well, give me your typical day. What's your usual types of foods that you eat? And then I will tailor what they eat toward their goal. So it may not be at this visit that we're going to get you 100% to that prescription, but at least one step closer so that we are one step closer to that goal. They can understand where I'm coming from, but I can also get to know a little bit more about them, their culture, their background, their family life, and how all of that plays into what they're doing. Yeah. And even I've found something like exercise. Different cultures have different ideas of what people can do, shouldn't do, and so it's very important for me to delve into those questions and open up the conversation with people.
And where the spouse is. I think one of the most helpful things we have is the family concierge package, because when we have a family come in and they come in together and they're all getting on the same page.
Exactly.
And they're speaking the same language.
Yes.
You can set goals that the spouse understands. The children are buying in a little bit. This is especially good for like teenagers. We find that they kind of start going, okay, you know, if mom and dad are doing this and we're doing this together, I can do this.
Yeah.
And it prepares them, I think, for college when they're out on their own.
Absolutely.
You know, they have a little bit of a roadmap.
Absolutely.
And really, that's, I think, one of my favorite programs we have as a family concierge.
And I always emphasize it from a young age. I always tell, you know, if a mom is coming in and she's struggling with hypertension, and I may suggest an eating plan for them, I always tell them, you know, you should not be eating differently from your husband or your child, because ultimately it's a healthy way of eating. So what you're doing is you're teaching, you're emulating for your child, you're being a role model so that hopefully your child is not having the same struggles as they grow up. So that is definitely a valuable asset.
Yeah, some people will say, speaking to the children, some people say, well, my kid's metabolism is so high and they can eat all these things and they don't have any issues. Well, at some point that switch flips.
Exactly.
And that child that's used to eating very unhealthy things, maybe it's chips or it's pizza or fried food or whatever, they find themselves in the struggle of their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now we know, and I'd like you to speak to this as well, now we know that some of those habits that start so young, and some of those things, the eating of the fried food, the eating, even drinking energy drinks and artificial sweeteners, and we're messing up the gut biome and causing this chronic inflammation that kids get. But then when they hit the teenage years, you start seeing depression, anxiety, all these things.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about what you've seen and just touch on how you would handle that with a family.
Yeah, it's you bring up a very good point, and it impacts really the entire system. It's our cellular function, it's our immune function, it's our hormones, and it can even alter DNA as well. So it's a huge topic, absolutely. But again, it goes back to understanding what's important for the whole family. And I would say, from my own personal example, for my own children, I remind them, you know, that this is a healthy way of eating. I don't restrict them from ever having junk food if they go out and somebody offers them something. Although I may cringe a little bit, I may allow them to have it at times. But they understand that this is the reason why I eat this way. This is the reason, or this is how it makes my body feel. And they also understand the long-term impact of it. And you can really start at a very young age.
Right.
My children are 3 and 5, and they very much understand that. It gets a little bit harder as kids get older, but if you engage in conversation, I do find that I think we generally give adolescents especially, but even children, less credit than is due, because once you actually engage in conversation and when you really try to understand it from their perspective, they will engage with you and start asking the questions and themselves make the change. And I have seen some adolescents convince their parents to make changes too.
Oh. Well, that is such a good point. I have a daughter, one of our 10 children, who is now a teacher. But when she was in college, the summer after college and before going into the real world, as we say, she took a nanny position. And in that nanny position, she found that these kids were just not eating healthy. And ironically, the parent was a doctor, and she made food fun. She changed their diet.
Exactly.
And the parents just were so busy. They were both working, and they were just so busy they hadn't paid any attention. But I thought, wow, because this taught me that some of those lessons that we taught the kids when they were young, they'll eventually teach their own kids.
Exactly.
And they understand it on a real level. And I got to tell you, I love to hear you say that about, teach the kids and they eat what you eat. And I've heard you say, don't worry about, cooking something special for my kids. They'll eat what I eat. And first time I heard that from you, I was like, that's a good mom. That's a good mom.
But, the other point that you bring up too is a lot of times it's not necessarily a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of resources. So there too, I will often try and meet my patients where they're at and say, okay, I know you know what to do, but where do you feel the struggle is? And how can we modify that? And so I will oftentimes then give recommendations, be it for kids' snacks or even for a grown-up's lunch, what to pack for lunch or what to pack for snacks that are non-perishable, cheap, easy to get on the go, readily available, and things that you can always have. So it's never, food scarcity, for example, is never an issue in such a busy lifestyle, or just grabbing a pizza because it's gotten to be late or whatever the case is. So that's another thing that I think is very important to work with, just to meet with people's goals.
Or drink the calories. I mean, we're seeing now with all these, lattes and things that people will drink 300, 500, 700 calories and then go eat a 2,000 calorie dinner.
And the worst part of it is sip it through the day so that insulin spikes all day long.
All day long.
Yeah.
Constant inflammation. It's been such a pleasure to sit down with you.
Same here, Judy.
And if you're a patient of Executive Medicine of Texas, or you're a prospective patient and you'd like to learn more about Dr. Naidoo, please visit our website at emtexas.com, or you can always call the office at 817-552-4300 to book an appointment. We look forward to serving you.